Nobody had ever attempted a front flip in an official long jump competition, but this crazy Kiwi had discovered something that the professionals had overlooked. Tuariki Delamere was one of the best long jumpers in New Zealand. However, after accepting a scholarship at Washington State and arriving in the US, John felt a little bit out of his depth with the American professionals. They were all outperforming him. The 1974 LA Pacific Championships were coming up, and after finishing 9th in the Commonwealth Games in his own home country earlier that year, John felt like he'd let himself and his country down. John desperately needed to find another way to be competitive. It had been long rumored that a front flip could possibly be the most optimal long jump technique from a biomechanics perspective, but had never been attempted in a competition. So John decided he was going to be the first to try it at the Pacific Championships in the LA Coliseum, and in doing so, he'd changed the sport of long jump forever. The idea of a front flip in long jump had been talked about for years. Experts believed it could help jumpers go further by using the body's natural rotation to boost momentum. The flip would turn the jumper's upward motion into forward motion, potentially adding crucial inches to the jump. While the concept was exciting, no one had dared to try it in competition due to the high risk of injury. With guidance from his biomechanics professor at Washington State, John saw this as his chance to break new ground and stand out in the sport. Whispers had begun to circulate that the Russians were planning to deploy the front flip long jump at the 1976 Montreal Olympics. John wasn't just pioneering a new technique, he was potentially beating the world to a groundbreaking athletic innovation which would completely change the sport of long jump in the same way that the Fosbury flop had completely revolutionized the high jump just 6 years earlier. When John realized the potential for this unconventional and risky technique, he took to the pole vault pits to practice in a way that would hopefully reduce the risk of injuring himself. He practiced the flip for days, and it seemed at first like he just wasn't going to be able to do it. It's a dangerous move for someone untrained in gymnastics, and after landing on his tailbone particularly badly, he thought he'd irreparably damaged his spine, and he was ready to give up on this insane idea. However, the championships were coming up fast. John was running out of time to practice the move, and he wasn't willing to risk hurting himself again before the competition. He decided that the next time he would try the jump, he'd do it for real. At the Pacific Championships. When the day finally arrived, only 2 people in the stadium knew what was about to happen: John and his coach. John prepared for his first jump. He sprinted down the runway and he launched into the air. He executed the front flip perfectly, landing feet first, far ahead of all the previous jumpers. The officials stood there stunned, with their mouths open. It impressed everyone. But once the officials processed what just happened, they informed John that he had unfortunately overstepped the mark, and the jump didn't count. Despite this, it was clear that the adrenaline was working, and John was onto something extraordinary. For his second jump, John was even more focused. The crowd swelled, and they watched with bated breath to see if he would attempt the flip again. The tension in the stadium was palpable. As John took off again, he leapt from behind the line and his body rotated smoothly through the air. He landed feet first once again, this time with his heels touching down at the 8.4 meter mark, the longest jump in NCAA history. But in the final moments of the jump, his hands planted down behind him, causing him to fall back to 7.7 meters. John's jump was still enough to equal the day's winning jump from the reigning Olympic champion, Randy Williams. It was a bittersweet success, but John had done what he set out to do. He had successfully proved the enormous potential of the somersault long jump. John was only given one more opportunity to compete using the technique before the end of the season. By the time the next season rolled around, the International Association of Athletics Federations had banned the somersault long jump, deeming it too dangerous. As a result of the ban, John's jump remains the longest official somersault long jump in history.